Now live. Hello, Mojis.
Could be game shows. Hi everyone. Oh.
No. There's no. There's just go.
Like,
There's
no.
Like
right
when you're doing a live video, it's just go.
All right. Hi everyone, Shireen and JD here, Moji Masala. And today we're doing a short and I think like really useful video because it's just, we're showing the versatility of what you can do when you have leftover like sauce, that leftover curry when you make a dish like Rogan Josh. So last night we made in our house chicken Rogan Josh. Ready? Here it is. Dun, dun, dun. And as always, we like to really highlight what's going on with our labels, QR code for a very short instructional video, shopping list, ingredients, up here, all of that. So beautiful.
Go Mojis!
Okay, so that's that. So this is what was left over after our 3 pounds of Rogan Josh were made. This little
because Nora ate
small
2.5 pounds of it.
We literally don't even have anything left over for lunch. So here's what's left. This is what was kind of at the bottom of the pot. And I think most people might be like, well, it's done. I'm just going to throw this away. It doesn't even look like this much because it's just over a big pot. I would say there's about a half a cup, not even, maybe a third of a cup of sauce here. So this is, we don't throw anything away. Where we come from, in the house I was raised, and just in general in Indian food culture, everything really is reusable because this is flavor. That's all this is just tons of wonderful flavor. And there's salt in there that kind of, and the spices really preserve this. You could keep just this, not without the meat in your fridge probably for a week. You could even freeze this and use it as like a base to cook something else. But I'm going to show you what you can do with just this little bit to make like totally different meals that are not so necessarily heavy Indian meals. So we're going to do two things today. One is we're going to use this to do a braised tofu.
Mind you, this is not a vegetarian because this curry was done.
Yes, this was done in chicken. So we will do another video where we'll show you the similar dish, but using another blend that you did not cook meat in, and we can kind of show you a braised tofu. But right now, this is what we got going on. We got leftover Rogan Josh curry, and so I went ahead, so you didn't have to watch and be bored. I went ahead and pan fried the tofu. So this is extra firm tofu. I pan fried all the sides, took like 5 minutes. I let the oil get nice and hot. And this is just to preserve the texture. And as you all know, if you've worked with tofu, it can kind of fall apart pretty easy. You can't sit there sauteing it like you can vegetables or meat. So I kept it thick. I want JD, I don't know if you can show that. I did not cut it in half or anything. So what I'm doing here is I'm pan frying the outside to kind of guarantee that it stays together. And I want it thick because I want this deliciousness to kind of get absorbed in here, which can be kind of a little bit hard with tofu. Sometimes I feel like the flavor just sort of sits on top. And because everything is cooked, right? It's just about getting this delicious flavor into this tofu. I'm using a small pot because I don't want to mix it all around. I want to kind of get the sauce really kind of have this tofu sitting in it. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna put that in there, and while that's just kind of simmering for a few minutes, I'm gonna show you how to make an Indian style omelet. And there's so many ways to do it, but one way is you take a teaspoon or two of your leftover sauce, and I have 1 egg here. I beat it, and you literally just spoon it in. So when that heats up, I'm gonna spoon it in the egg. While this is simmering, I'm gonna make the omelet. And we make our omelets a little bit different. We really brown them. They're almost crispy. They're almost like a crispy pancake, an egg pancake. So you probably a little bit more oil than maybe you would to make a regular omelet, not crazy. And we just each side really brown up, and then you're gonna mix this deliciousness in. It's gonna be no work. If you have a little chopped onion left over from something, throw it in there. But there's gonna be so much flavor, and it's gonna take 3 minutes. And then you literally got breakfast and lunch with just this little bit of sauce that's left over.
And all these recipes will be put up on our site. So keep checking back to mojimasala.com and you'll be able to check out recipes. And
it'll be a blog post.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe we can swing on over here, JD. Right. So I let this sit out a little bit so it wouldn't take too long to just. You could even, leave this out for like an hour, no problem. It'll just heat up quicker. I did it for you guys so you wouldn't have to sit here and watch it all like. So a little kind of gelatinous. You see it's coming apart really nicely. I don't know how much is picking up, but there's all this delicious like little bits of spices you can see. The smell is great. There is like tiny little shreds of chicken, which is great. I'll leave that in there. And so once this just all that gelatinous stuff is gone, it gets a little boil again. I'm going to add some water. And I'm adding the water just to cook the tofu and kind of like have it simmer in there. And then I'm going to cook it down. So if you've been cooking Moji Masala, you know that there's a lot of that. Adding water, getting all the flavors in, and then simmering it down to a thicker sauce. Kind of not too different than what it is right now. I'm going to water this down a little bit. So I already sliced and cubed this, again, to just save you the time. Pan seared, slicing through, trim this down a little bit. I don't want it all blown away. So I'm going to try to toss it ever so gently. And I'm going to try to make sure
Hi, AV.
Sides.
Can you smell this deliciousness from across the hall? You can come over and have some after. AV's our neighbor, so. Hey, Devak, thanks for joining.
Okay, so I kind of just gently tossed it. Again, being very careful. I want nice whole chunks. And by the way, this sort of, the thickness of this is also how you do paneer. That's why sometimes paneer, when it's done really well, it's nice and thick. It's kind of like firm on the outside so it doesn't fall apart. Spongy in the middle so a lot of the flavor can absorb. So now I think I've coated it well. Just gonna add.
Come on over. Water. Come on over, AV. You're welcome. Right after the video, you'll know when to come.
I added the water and I'm gonna bring this to a boil. I'm gonna make sure like the more seared sides are on top, and the unseared sides are more kind of submerged. Okay, there's the boil. So now I'm gonna turn it to a medium-low, and see the smaller pot. I mean, you could have even used a smaller pot so that you can really, like, you don't have to add as much water. You submerge it. We're gonna let that simmer just, a little bit. Sorry. Okay, there we go. Just sort of trying to get all that. Okay, so, I forgot to do this. So what I want to do now that is, okay, what I should have done, and I messed up, I should have put this base in before so I'm just adding a little bit to my egg, but I really should have done it before I added the water because I want a fuller flavor, but that's okay. You get the idea. So I'm going to mix that in there, and you can see, just like adding. This is like cooked, delicious flavor. It's gonna have a little bit of that meat flavor. It's gonna have all the Rogan Josh yumminess. Okay.
So AV, we made a chicken curry last night for dinner.
Rogan Josh.
Using the Rogan Josh masala, and this was the curry that was left over. So now we're reusing it.
So there was literally like a third of a cup of curry, which I think most people would just like toss and wash their dish. And we're really trying to say, like, and for anyone who's just joined in, we're showing you that little bit of sauce that's on your thing, even if it's just a third of a cup, has so much flavor, and it's so versatile. And I literally had some tofu in the fridge. It's extra firm. I pan fried it. And now I'm simmering it in this sauce to create like literally a whole new dish. And then I took a tablespoon or so, or a teaspoon. I only have one egg. of it, and I added it to an omelet. I'm going to show you how to make like an Indian style omelet.
Kashmiri style.
Kashmiri style. Okay.
Hey Saka22. Nice to meet you. Thanks for joining today.
So now I'm going to add, so now the thing with this omelet, I'm using, I don't need as much oil. Use a good amount of oil to get that crispiness, It's not all going to absorb in your egg. So, and it's not going to be a greasy egg. It's just, we're trying to brown the egg. It's almost like a fried egg, but it's an omelet. So I'm going to do this. You can see a little bit of that Rogan Josh.
Well, this is boiled down. You could actually put some more in if you wanted. The water's boiling out of this. You could put some more in if you wanted.
Put some more
curry in it. If you wanted. But anyway.
I'm not following, sorry. Okay, so I want to turn this on medium high, and I'm not going to flip it till I sort of peek at it and see that it gets kind of pretty brown. So like, I feel like, you see how it's starting to brown pretty nicely like that? You kind of want it like a nice dark brown almost.
Smells good.
Yeah. And while it may look like a regular omelet, it literally is going to have so much flavor from that like teaspoon of Rogan Josh sauce. Okay, the edges are starting to brown, so I'm just going to let the middle brown up.
Try not to over oil your pan or either. You'll have a very oily omelet.
No, you have to use a lot of oil for the omelet. That's what I said.
Too much will be.
It doesn't absorb. It'll just go to the side. So that's what I did. Sorry, I know. This is good. This is a good conversation. Jay's instinct is like not too oily. But an Indian omelet actually uses a good amount of oil because you have to brown it. You cannot get that beautiful brownness without the oil. And you can always just put on a paper towel. I'd probably use enough oil for 2 eggs, so maybe I use too much here. But it does need oil. Yeah. No, you do it. No, you don't do that now. Do that when you serve it. Just put it here. If you're worried about the oil, but don't be so scared of the oil. It really does not all. It just takes what it needs. Okay. Let's do this. That's done. So this is, you could have added some onion to this. I wouldn't have added too much more because the Rogan Josh sauce has a lot of flavor. So now you can eat this any way you like. One of the ways I love to do it is, I'm too lazy to make fresh chapatis every day. I mean, I really wish I wasn't. But there are a lot of yummy whole wheat tortillas that can be very chapati-like, actually. And so we just take this, which I would warm, but I'm not going to do right this second.
Definitely, AV, come over for a bite, for sure, AV.
Yes, you can have this. Actually, I ate on one, so if you'd like to. And there you go. Rogan Josh omelet cutty roll. Okay, so let's keep that there. Let's go back to this. And I forgot to mention, so one of the reasons, I think a lot of people ask, oh, can I use the Rogan Josh masala to do it with tofu? Now I'm going to turn this heat up because I think you can see, I feel like a lot of that's gotten in there, and I want to reduce it because I don't want it so watery. I feel like a lot of people want to kind of use our Rogan Josh masala for tofu. I find that it is way too powerful with all that black cardamom in it to do, like, just replace meat with Rogan Josh. It really needs meat, just the profile that it is. But we are going to be coming up very soon, introducing other braised dishes that are less intense that I think will work beautifully for tofu, or just non-meat dishes if you want to be a little bit more versatile with it and do vegan or vegetarian curries that are with meat substitutes. So now here we're just reducing. take it off to see how much it reduces. It's so bubbly. I want it thicker. You can kind of stop. Like if you really want it with rice, it's too soupy. So I'm just going to keep reducing. The tofu had some water in it that I think came out, so it's just taking a little bit longer. Probably could have used less water, but I really wanted to submerge the tofu so that the spice would get into that like middle spongy part. So it's worth adding a little bit more water and spending a little more time reducing, because I think that flavor will just be better, like more complete. Maybe better is not the right word, just more complete. I kind of hate like sometimes you bite into tofu and you kind of get that like little bit of flavor, and then as you keep eating it, like you just taste tofu. So that's my goal here, and that's sort of why I'm doing it this way.
Yeah, Saka's asking, did the spice packets tell you the amount of food you can season the food with them, a party of one? Yes, so all of our spice packets basically connect to a recipe, and the shopping list for that recipe is on the back. And there's also, here, let me show you, Saka. So here's the example. There's a shopping list for if you were making Rogan Josh. And this is QR code, goes right to a very simple, easy to cook video right on our website, mojimasala.com. And you can check that out. Generally, this will serve, it could serve a party of 2 to 4, but you can either make the whole dish and freeze it, or you can cut it in half, or...
No. I mean, just to be clear,
What are you saying no?
Well, if you cut it in half, what happens is the spice blend doesn't, like the salt is heavier. It's very hard to cut it in half, and then like one half might be oversalted, it might be under. So if you're going to do a half portion, just pour the masala bag into a bowl, mix the masala really well so it's nice and even, because there's a beautiful Himalayan pink salt in there that literally sinks to the bottom. So if you just like take it off the top, you'll get no salt. And then and the reason we do it is we really want to use the pink Himalayan salt. We don't charge by weight, so this is not about getting the salt in there for weight. It's the salt we use is so lovely, and I feel like if people accidentally use sea salt, it just ruins the flavor, or just like not a very high quality fine salt. We really wanted to preserve that flavor, and I think that Himalayan pink salt really does that. So if you want to do a half portion, totally fine. Just go ahead and really mix up the blend in a bowl, and then there's about 5 tablespoons in Rogan Josh. So if you're gonna do a half portion, you do 2.5 tablespoons, or etc. I think if you do less than half a portion, it starts to get the flavor profile starts to not really work. And one thing I will suggest though is it freezes beautifully. So one thing I do, and I used to make this when I was just on my own and I was just craving it, and I would make a whole portion. I would eat what I wanted. I would freeze the rest, and then I would defrost it and either use it as is. And we also have a blog post about using it to make a biryani, because that's what biryani is. It's like you kind of cook meat in a Rogan Josh type masala and you layer it into your rice. So then you literally can have a second dish either immediately or a completely different time when you're craving that. So that would be my suggestion.
Also, I want to add, this particular recipe for this tofu is not yet on our website. Generally speaking, you would use the Rogan Josh with chicken or lamb. So we're doing some spice crossover with some new uses for our spice blends. We have 12 different SKUs. You can see them all on the site, but it's a great question.
Okay, so I think this is looking good.
We got a special guest star from across the hall, Avi. And as promised, I put it into, please come on, Avi, be our taste tester. This is our favorite person in the world, Avi, coming over live.
I love my Mojis, and I have one of these already, so I'm very excited.
Yeah, we love Avi. We watch her bring her kids home. We have such history with Avi.
All right.
We love Avi. Okay.
So, all right. Now, if I wanted to make this beautiful, I would just garnish it with a little really nice looking cilantro. if you like nuts, I think you could sprinkle some almonds or on this and a little cilantro, and it would be beautiful.
It looks amazing.
All right, you want to be our taste tester? Amy?
Oh, okay. This was not planned, by the way. So
You know, I'm not usually on my phone at 10 o'clock, and
I'm so excited that you're here.
I like at 10:40 or something like that, and it just ended. And I'm like, oh, I missed it. Okay. Now see how it's just it's not sitting in like a big wet sauce. It's like sitting in a nice sort of gravy-like flavor base. So, and you could serve this with rice, with whatever. Okay, why don't you try that?
don't
It's
worry,
hot.
there's more,
It's
AB.
very hot.
Don't worry, there's more.
Where's that sandwich?
So I heat up for her so
Oh,
we can.
no.
Well, I thought I was walking it across the
wanna
hall
try
when we
it.
were
Oh,
done, and
yeah.
I didn't want it to get
No,
cold for
I
her.
smell it.
So cut it.
Come over.
Cut it now.
Okay. Yeah, I will. I will. I just want to. And look, and we put it in the foil and warmed up the wrap, which is great.
I love tofu.
How did it? Did it get in there?
Yeah.
Did the flavor like? So you've had the. All right, let's try. Okay. Okay.
This is awesome.
Fire masala omelet.
This is you.
I didn't put the concentrated version in, which I was supposed to, so I don't know how much of the flavor got there. Let's start.
This is a Moji omelet. If you go to Moji's on Sunday morning, this is what she's making, basically.
Because I put the sauce after I added the water, it diluted the flavor. But if you just put it in,
Okay.
even like cold and blended it in, it would be much more flavorful. But also now you know how to make a Kashmiri-style omelet.
Yeah. Thanks
I
for
love
joining.
how like
Yeah.
round it is. It, like all that.
Yeah, that was what we were saying. You brown it. That creates the flavor in and of itself. And then when you layer in the masala, like leftover curry, which like would be on the bottom of your pan, which people just throw away in normal cooking, because like that is so much flavor. And you like add a tablespoon or a teaspoon, depending on how many eggs you use.
Yeah, great.
You literally get a masala omelet with no work.
Okay. Thanks for joining, everybody. Saka, thank you so much. Any questions, reach out anytime, right here on DM. All right. Happy eating, happy cooking. Bye.